So before we dive into the template building itself, all of what we'll be looking at is listed under the clinical tab here. And one thing I always recommend is looking at our template library first. Our template library allows you to see what other people have shared with the Dr. Chrono user base. So this is crowdsourced by our users, and I'll show you where you can share your custom templates online with the rest of our users shortly. I always recommend people come here because if you want to build something custom, and it's always good to take a look at what other people have chosen to share, because somebody might have used something that you would find useful, and then you can piggyback off that. You can
okay, wait. Hold on, Sod.
Yes.
Can you show me again how to get there?
Yeah, of course. Under the clinical tab, just click on library.
Okay. All right.
All right. So
there could be stuff in here that they can already use.
Actually, it's really simple. Like, you just have to on the right hand side, click like preview to look at something. And let me zoom out because it comes up in a pop. All right, there it is. So you can preview what something looks like just to see if it's something that you'd like to use. And then if it is, you can hit use this template, and it loads it under the additional tab of the templates that we have. So we have our H&P and our SOAP sections. Those are our stock templates. And then anything that you guys build or our team builds for you, or you source from the template library, that's going to be listed under the additional tab. Now, and so the beauty of this is you can use it as is, or you can hit customize template. And if you do that, see what it does is it loads this template onto into the template builder for you to it's like you've pasted it into a new document, and you're going to make changes from there. So it's something that's really flexible. And what's great? There's some options. Sometimes the customized template option isn't available. They're like, no, you can't make changes to my template or whatever. You can always hit the preview button. Once you do that, you can hit use this template, and anything that's in your template library, or in your template builder, you can customize. So even if you don't customizing the template, just hit use this template and then go make the changes to it in the template builder.
Okay, can I ask you a quick question while we're talking about editing things?
Of course.
Is there a way for the office to edit that main demographics page and all that stuff?
Okay, so are you talking about when are we talking about the patient chart?
Yeah, because there's 7 million questions that they would never ask on there.
Okay. Yeah, all right, fair enough. Oh, actually, are we talking more about, let's see, this workflow, like patient intake, like the profile of gender? Okay, no. So the chart, here, one second.
No, we're talking about when they're actually in the chart. And just pull up anybody. We don't care.
Sure.
Look at the calendar and just pull up anybody.
Okay, let's look at Judy.
All right, so when you click on demographics, there's just so many questions that they would never hold out. We need to get rid of half of that.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is not a flexible part of our system. It's pretty hard coded. The reason is that there's a lot of stuff here that's going to be superfluous to your workflow, is that it's built to accommodate as many different specialties as possible.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. We just thought maybe since we could edit other templates.
Yeah. So yeah, that's something I think we should have better, I'd say, clarity around with regards to our wording. There's certain parts of the system that are very customizable, but this is just not one of them, unfortunately.
Okay, one more question while we're here. Is there a way to get from this page to the clinical note without having to go back to the schedule and clicking on?
Absolutely.
Can you show us that?
Yep, I'll do it right now.
Because on the left-hand side, we've tried clicking on all those, and none of those take us.
No, watch. So what you need to do is look to the left-hand side, click on the Appointments tab. It's going to list all the appointments for this patient. So we've got today's appointment. and then just hit edit note, and it opens up the clinical note.
We were like, there's got to be a way to do it. We just
and there is. So think about it this way. This is a nice rule of thumb. The Dr. Chrono system is very schedule driven. It's
Okay.
a lot of things are based off of appointments. So we look at the appointments, we're like, and of course the clinical notes specifically, there's a 1-to-1 ratio with appointments. So then you can just access them here from the.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I was catching us up. All right, you can go back to the template builder now.
Okay. So other things to finish up in the library really quickly. Here, when I search the library, by default, in our system, Dr. Bingham is a general surgeon. So that's this specialty from which he can choose. But if you close this out and click on it, you can access the drop down. I'm not sure, maybe that there's something that you'd like to look at for another type of surgeon, or like a hand surgeon. Not sure why you would, but just so that you can search by other specialties if needed. And then if you don't want to use that, in the top right hand corner, you can search by keyword. So, here, if I just type in soap and I search that, I'm going to get soap notes from, let's see, OBGYN, acupuncture, so forth. So just two options that you have with regards to kind of finding something you might want to use during the whole template process. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. So now let's just jump into our template builder. This is, and of course, when I come into the template builder here, it's by default, we have sort of a layout. So we have our list of templates. So we have our presets. We can always make customizations to these. The only ones we can't are specifically the medications and allergies, because there's no real flexibility there.
Can you make it just a little bit bigger?
Sure. 1 second. There we go. So let me zoom out a little bit. So the only one we can't really change is our medications and allergies, simply because there's no real need for flexibility there. You really just put in people's medications and allergies. So other than that, though, any one of these templates, we have the ability to make changes and whatever. So the first thing I'd like to do is point out to you our legend here. It gives you an idea of what these icons mean. So if I hit the blue plus sign, it's going to duplicate this. So think of it as just copy paste. So just kind of, makes another field. If you're making a lot of similar fields, it probably makes sense when you're building something to use the duplicate field, or duplicate rather, and then come in here and make any sort of necessary changes as far as formatting is concerned. So that's something that's really useful. And of course, our red X is archive or delete. So if I want to get rid of something, I just hit the red X. All right. And then the other option that we have is the copy to clipboard. See, edit the pencil icon. You don't really see it. Basically, you can edit anything that's highlighted in blue. All you have to do is here, click into it. It opens it up in its own little pop-up window and allows us to make any sort of changes that we would want. I'll go into the details of like those, the different options we have shortly. So copy to clipboard actually takes a question. So let's say this location question. I want to ask about the location of this injury. Is it medial or is it lateral? And I want the generated text to be the exact same. I just want to copy this over. If I hit the paperclip icon, what it does is it puts that question on my field clipboard, and then I can go to another template now, let's say like my review of systems, and I can go to the bottom or wherever I want, and now take this question and drag it on to be used into this other template. So something to consider as well. It actually functions a lot like Microsoft Word's clipboard. Actually, the field clipboard came to us by way of client recommendation. And I want to take this opportunity to take you guys to the user voice forum. So www, and I'll zoom in on that for I can't zoom in on up here, sorry. So www.drchrono.uservoice.com. If I go there, this is a forum that can be, so you can submit ideas to, you can vote on other users' ideas, and you can think of this as giving feedback to the highest levels of our company. Our lead project manager looks at this daily. The CEO looks at this, almost daily. I would be surprised. Like, he looks at it at least 4 or 5 times a week. So it's something you can think of it as giving feedback directly to our CEO. And so our team of developers like to look at this forum to see what people are submitting, if it's heavily upvoted, because people have the ability to vote on an idea that they really want, that actually is one of the ways that our team of developers chooses their ongoing projects. So I recommend, if you have some feedback, go to the user voice forum and make a submission, just because, if it's a good idea and a lot of people could benefit from it, and like logistically we feel we can deliver on that, it is something that can get built out. So just something to kind of ponder on if ever you have some constructive criticism or any ideas for our team. Okay. So the field clipboard, as you can see, I can draw or choose to, include different questions individually, and I can clear it. Or if I want the entire review of systems, I can hit copy entire form. And now you can see all 48 questions are now loaded for me to use. And then I can paste the entire form elsewhere or just parts of it. So again, a lot of flexibility with what you want to copy and kind of paste over into another section. Okay. Now let's talk about just our different, again, I just want to highlight our template list. So the presets are what we call our health and physical templates and our SOAP section templates. So all of these except for on patient, so anything from this one above, are part of charting a clinical note. So this is what the doctors or any sort of like physician's assistants, MAs or whatever, they're going to use these templates to chart their notes. Whereas these two, the on-patient additional info and on-patient reasons for visit, these are part of patient intake. So if you want to build custom intake forms, and I believe that's what we're doing today, correct? Hello?
It was muted, Todd.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So just to give you guys an idea, this is where we're going to start, or where we're going to look into building the additional information and reasons for visit, because this is patient intake. And now obviously these are stock in our system. We can make any sort of changes, but and when you make the changes, it's actually easy to access what people have chosen to include in there. So when you're charting the note, let's say I'm going to go to my clinical note for this patient here, for Teresa, and notice in the top, when I zoom in here, top of my H&P section, I have on patient check-in. This is on patient, right? And I actually have that option at the top of my SOAP section as well, on patient check-in. So when I click on that, notice additional info and reasons for visit are right here. Additional info, reasons for visit. So you can actually, as you're charting your note, you can see what they've put in to their intake, and kind of say like, oh, the person, like as it pertains to what the doctors are doing, they can take a look at what the patients have kind of put in, and definitely that's really kind of functional, especially I imagine for surgeons, but it's a very popular feature that we have. So just wanted to show you guys that and really highlight the difference between the two types of templates. So we've got on patient. We always think of on patient as synonymous with check-in, patient intake. All right. And then, so we have our additional info and reasons for visit. Those are completely customizable. The medications, allergies, and medical conditions that they put in, and the questions and comments are not customizable. Hence, that's why you're not going to see them in the template builder. But your additional info and your reasons for visit, we can completely customize. And then you can see how you can access it while you're charting a note, as well as even including it onto a clinical note. And then, of course, under the additional section, we have any custom templates. So you can see like which physician has chosen to use them. So I guess Dr. Bridges is logging in, and perhaps he's making templates, or he's copying them from the clinic.
Yeah, no, he has been trying to create his own template, and I don't think he understands that he can delete them. And so he makes one, and he's like, I don't like that one, so he makes another one.
Okay, yeah. Anytime he wants, he can hit.
So all of these are basically the same version, a different version of the same idea.
Okay. Well, I applaud him for going in and getting his hands dirty.
One of these days we'll get it all and we can delete the ones we don't want.
Okay, perfect. And so, I recommend when we're done with the session here today, give him a copy of, of the video, send him the link so he can take a look. Because for the most part, let's take a look at one of his templates. I think he knows what he wants. It just, honestly, he's got some best practices going already. So it may be just some tweaks that he needs to make to it. So for the most part, I see these as functional. He knows what he's doing. This will at least generate a clinical note. It may not be formatted the way he wants, but I think he's done a good job going in and just kind of doing this on his own. He can, of course, he can always hit the red X and archive the template. Just to let you know, for HIPAA compliance, we never actually delete the templates. Under the clinical section, if I go to archive, you get a list of whichever templates you've chosen to archive, and then you can restore them if Dr. Bridges wanted to later on, maybe like pick back up. So just to let you know, they're never really deleted. So, but you can choose to kind of take them out of the workflow by hitting that red X. Okay, and then at the very bottom here, our share section. So if you like this template and you think a lot of other general surgeons or any other surgeons or other providers would be able to benefit from this, you can hit the library button, and then it'll prompt you to go through some steps. Basically, like, it gives you a message where, are you sure you want to do this kind of thing, where you can then share that library, or that template with the template library. And, up here, and then it'll be accessed by, a lot of different providers. If you guys think that you have something that other people could use, I highly recommend doing it. We like to be as collaborative as possible, and it would save somebody else a big headache if perhaps if you had an awesome template that they could then use or piggyback off of for their own kind of customization. Also, our email button. So this is if you want to share a template directly with another Dr. Chrono user. And so it would email it to them. It has a link in it that once they click, it loads the template. It'll take them directly. It'll prompt them to log into the system if they're not logged in already, and then take them directly to the template builder with your template loaded on. And then they can make changes or save it as is and whatever else. And then we also have options to share the templates via social media. I don't think it's a terribly often used or oftenly used feature, but some people do like to have more of a social media presence. I have clients, cosmetic surgeons in Southern California. They do a lot of this because they want to be at the upfront and everything, and seem very like tech savvy and into social media. So I think maybe perhaps location factors into whether you use these or not. But, in case you wanted to put that on social media, you do have that option. Okay, so now that we've kind of gone over like the very basic stuff, I want to take you through the different types of questions. And in fact, I'm going to use these templates that Dr. Bridges has started with as sort of a way, as my examples, because I think he's done a good job, and I don't want to build a template in your system or anything. So this is the place where I can at least make or highlight certain sort of examples. So our preoperative diagnosis is a short text field. You can always see what type of question it is based on the symbol that we have here. So like this plain rectangle right here, that means you're going to use the keyboard to fill this out. You're going to use your computer's keyboard or the iPad's keyboard. And then, of course, if you're using the iPad's keyboard, you have the option of using our speech to text as well. So if you just want to dictate into this field, it is possible. So I'm going to open this up and just show you what we have available. So the label name is really just the name of the question. This does not appear on the clinical note. So Dr. Bridges did the right thing. He copied and pasted it down here, because let's say you took your preoperative diagnosis, but you didn't include that in the generated text. Literally, it would just say, goiter, or I'm not sure what you guys, I'm not a clinician here, but it would just say the answer to the question without giving you any sort of prompts or context. So I definitely recommend taking the label name and including it into the generated text if the formatting is, okay with you guys. Now, I want to really highlight this right here, the value button. And it's right here in our generated text. Basically, if you see the value button, rule of thumb, it has to be down here somewhere, because this value button will take whatever you've put in as their preoperative diagnosis and push it to the clinical note. So a lot of times people will just do this and they're like, oh, okay, this is how I want it to look. And then they save it. And what ends up happening is they'll call me or they send a support ticket and they're like, oh, I built a template, but nothing that I've put in is showing up on the clinical note. That's because you didn't hit the value button. So always, rule of thumb, you see it, you include the value somewhere in the field, all right? Now, the other things are really sort of just text variables. They should look fairly familiar to you because they're the same text variables that you can utilize when you're building your macros. So if I want to include the patient name, I can include that. Today's date and time, things like that. These are just, and this line right here, all text formatting. Do you want to indent this? Would you like it, leftward oriented or centered? Do you need a postscript or a superscript and a postscript, underline, so forth. So you can do, this is really just editing the text. Something I prefer to do when I build a template for my clients in case I need to, I like to do something like that. Just looks a certain way. But then again, that's just my personal proclivities. And, if you need, so that's just here. And then our demographics. So these are our list of other text variables. These are our most commonly used ones. So we build buttons for them. But, patient demographics, you can include today's date of service information you can include and so forth. Now, other things to note up here, when I hit new line, actually, I'm going to close out of this really quickly. And I'm going to go to my post-operative diagnosis to kind of highlight this. Now, when I hit new line, think of that as a return key. Like I've hit the return key and I made it single space. If I was to uncheck this and save it and use this note, basically whatever I put in here for my post-operative diagnosis will get attached to this. It'll be one paragraph. So if you want these to be separated by a space, you hit new line. Now, if you want it to be double spaced, you hit new paragraph. And so that's the only difference there, okay? And then you'll also see a drop down for billing profiles in these templates. So as you guys know, when you're charting, and if I look at my clinical note and I go to my billing tab, I can use my billing profiles and I'm like, I want my colonoscopy codes to just all get added, or my RLQ pain codes to all get added. And you can manually attach them. But in the template builder, if you select a billing profile with this field, so if I use my post-operative field and I attach the RLQ pain billing profile, then of course, as soon as I fill this out, it attaches that billing profile in the billing tab. So just another sort of place where we can attach the codes automatically to be populated without manually adding them. Okay, it's not always used. I think a lot of my clients who utilize these the most are orthopedic surgeons. They have different parts of their templates that pertain to different injuries. So whenever they fill it out, they just want those codes to populate. All right. Now, let's see. The next type of questions we have are our yes, no, and our switch. And let's take a look if Dr. Bridges has used any of these. I don't think that he has, especially if what you guys said was true. These are just kind of like different. Oh, he has different iterations of the same note. So let's go here. Let's look at his general no change on-off switch. The yes, no questions and on-off switches are very similar. But they do have one primary sort of difference. If I look at my on-off switch, notice there is only one generated text box. So if I leave my on-off switch as in the off setting, nothing populates to the clinical note at all. It's like you didn't do anything. However, but if I turn it on, this is what populates. Okay? And I'll go into the different fields here shortly. I just want to highlight the difference between the yes, no, and the on-off switch. So if I was to drag on a yes, no question, and put it to use. Oh, wait a second. I don't have the ability to because this is Dr. Bingham's account. And so I can't make changes in his template builder. So let me access my account. All right. And you can see I have a lot of questions here. So if I go down to like my test template really quickly. So if you look at my test template about, sports injuries, I have my yes, no question here. Basically, these are 2 text boxes. So if you answer a yes, no question with no, you can still populate, information to the clinical note as opposed, and also when you answer yes. So the primary difference between a yes, no question and an on off switch is that the yes, no question, regardless of how it's answered, either affirmatively or negatively, it can populate clinical information to the clinical note, as opposed to our switch, which will only populate text when it's turned on. Okay? And let me know if you have any questions about that. So while I'm here, while I'm focusing on the yes, no, and on-off switches, I would like to highlight a certain feature that we do have. When I go to my on-off switch, look at this. So I go to my on-off switch. I can make this a smart field. And so it only works with our on-off switches. Think of a smart field as sort of like an accordion. That's the analogy that one of our developers, or actually a co-founder, made. He was like, when I make this a smart field, I can have certain questions contingent to that being turned on. So this question here, notice I've chosen. Let me back up a little bit. My surgical instructions on-off switch, I've chosen to click in there, and I've made it a smart field, okay? Now, when I go to this question here, my parent field, I've chosen surgical instructions. So basically what ends up happening is this question only appears when I turn this switch on. So it's a way of, designating or populating template questions only when they're relevant in the particular context. So if I turn on the switch, this question gets populated and comes up for me to answer. And I'll show you guys how it works, just so you can see it in action here. So I'll schedule an appointment with Daniel. And here I'm at my sports injury questionnaire. If I turn this off, notice that question disappears. But if I turn it on, there's my question again. So I think that is really useful when we're building a long patient intake form. Whereas, maybe you have some questions for women who possibly might be pregnant, and so that is never going to be answered by a man, nor is it going to be answered by women who probably aren't expecting. So you'd want to make that into a smart field, so that way if the person is expecting or thinks that they may be, they would answer those questions as needed. Whereas, it doesn't, obviously a man or like a person who knows they're not pregnant is not going to answer those questions. Okay. So I just wanted to show you how those work. Let me know if you have any questions between the yes, no, and the switches. I'm just going to go ahead and jump into the next set of questions because I don't want you guys to have to unmute just to say, hey, we don't have any questions. But if you do.
Hey, Todd.
Yes.
We do have a question. When we're doing the our review of systems on our physical form, you have to instead of hitting enter, like we're used to hitting enter and it taking us to the next space, you have to tab.
Oh yeah, that's just how it's coded.
So there's no way to change the tab preset on that.
No, so because the way our developers coded that out is when you hit enter, that is a space or it hits the return key to, you know, additionally add information. So yeah, the only way to go over is actually manually click into something else or hit the tab key.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. So the next types of questions are multiple choice questions, single select and multiple select. Now, Dr. Bridges has only used single selects. Those are denoted by our like a single dot there. And now I can't drag on a multiple select. Oh, I can. I think that's interesting. Certain ones I'm not able to. I think they're just updating the code. So don't worry, I won't actually save anything here just in case Dr. Bridges does want to use this. Now, a single select allows you to present some options as with regards to, you know, the multiple choice. So think of it this way. These are both multiple choice questions. We have our label name. We have our generated text. Notice the value button is in there, so it must be included because this is a way for the multiple choice questions to actually appear on the clinical note. And of course, we have the same sort of formatting options. And then here in the allowed values key, or excuse me, field, you just type in the different multiple choices that you'd like to make available. And a single select is one where you can only choose one of them. Okay? Now, a multiple select is much the same as a single select. It is denoted, as you can see, by the 3 dots instead of just the 1. And what this allows me to do is literally the exact same thing as our single select, except I can choose any and all of the available choices here. So let's say I was copying, I'm obviously not going to save this. So let's say this is our new field button. So my recommendation is taking the label name, putting it here, using a colon, hitting the value field or the value button. That way we know it gets added. Now, since this is a multiple select, you know, there is a little bit of a change that we have to make with our allowed values because our system will automatically generate a comma after the first choice. And so if you want it to look grammatically correct, what you should do is hit the space bar in front of all the subsequent choices. That way, you know, there's a space between the next text and the comma, and it looks proper. It's formatted in a grammatically correct way, as opposed to just kind of bunching them together.
Lots of smiles and nods over here.
Yeah, my English teacher would be very happy with me. She was a bit of a grammar Nazi, and I myself am also one. I do my best to not end my sentences with prepositions and properly use the word nor. And nor improper punctuation. So anyway, so that's something you definitely want to be mindful of. It's obviously not going to affect your the clinical note other than just presentation. So when we're sending these insurance claims, obviously we want to be as professional as possible. So then you'll want to definitely format things accordingly. Okay, I will delete this or archive it using our field there. And then I just want to highlight certain, notice that when I put that in, it messed with the spacing. I can always click and drag. And so we have a bit of an option here. And then you can always just undo the changes. Every once in a while, we have some formatting options with blank spaces, but now you can see it's all gone back to normal. So the multiple select and the single selects, again, are just multiple choice questions. Just the difference is these you can select all the choices or just any number of them, and this you can literally only select one. Okay. Now I want to go over the diagram. So the diagram is how we utilize our free draw. So this is only functional on the iPad. So it's not going to be useful if you're charting this part of the note on your web or on the computer. So the diagram allows you to either, if I drag this on here, I guess this is not one of the fields that I can drag on. Okay, I'll go to my employee account. So notice I have a diagram here. It's denoted by this little squiggly line. And so when I click into it, you can, choose to make it part of the smart template stuff. So if I want to generate that, I can. But the diagram allows us to either upload a picture, because notice I have this option to select file to upload. And if I hit choose file, it's just going to, choose my, or search my hard drive on my computer for an image. So if you have something that you like, you should definitely upload that. If you have a picture that you'd like that Dr. Bridges or Dr. Bingham or whoever else would like to kind of mark up as part of the clinical note, you can include that.
Hey,
Yes.
Can they use the webcam to take pictures like they do when they have to add a patient's picture to their chart?
Absolutely. So the way you do that, and again, it's only on the iPad though. But yeah, what I'm going to do, and if you'd like, I can show you how it's done.
So they can't take a picture from, like, if they're sitting at their desk and someone comes up to the window, they can't put the webcam on the counter and take a picture that way?
No, unfortunately, unfortunately, this field, it's coded out only to be used on the iPad currently. And so if you think that people would be able to, or should be able to use it with the webcam on their computer, I recommend going to that user voice forum and submitting that as an idea. But yeah, so if I want to use a picture, and so, okay, so what I would do if you wanted to use your webcam is, and this may not be very functional, because what I would do, what I was about to recommend, was taking a picture of the webcam and then uploading it into the template builder right here. Unfortunately, that would make it part of this template for all patients. So that doesn't necessarily really make sense to use on a per case basis. So what you can do is leave this blank. Notice I've chosen to not include a picture that I have on my computer, and I'm just going to save it. So what that allows me to do is access the iPad's camera to then take that clinical photo and then actually, include and just mark it up, include it into the clinical note. You guys want me to show you how that's done? It's actually,
Yes.
Sure. Let me just take my iPad out. Give me just a second. So the first thing you have to do is, drag a diagram on. I've done that, right? I've given it a name, and I've purposely not used or uploaded a picture. So it's done. I can use this now. So, and I already have an appointment scheduled with Daniel. So all I have to do is take my iPad out. Give me just a second here. Okay, got my iPad out. Okay. You can see our office here. Let me go to my iPad. All right. It's taking a long time. Let me try again. All right, so let's give this another shot. There we go. Okay. Okay, so you can see I click on the EHR app like I'm charting a note. I sign in with my PIN key. And it's going to load up. 1 second. I need to log out. Give me just a second here. I actually have to log in with my actual login credentials, and that is not to be displayed on a recorded video. Okay, so you can see I've got Daniel's appointment loaded up here. Hit start visit, like I'm charting. It's going to open up to this template by default because I've made it my default template. I'll show you guys how to do that shortly. And then here, all I have to do is hit free draw. And here's my free draw canvas. Now, if I had chosen to upload a picture, it would already be loaded up here. And, I could mark on it and whatever else like that. But I'm going to erase these. And so let's say you want to take that clinical photo. All you have to do is tap on the iPad's camera icon, and I'll do that now. I can take a picture of our patient. Hey, Mickey. And then once you take that picture, you just hit use photo. And now I can, use my my finger or a stylus to, make any sort of like highlights to it that I want. And this is just kind of a review of our charting training. If I hit the pen icon, I can choose the different colors here and the gradient. If I want to like highlight areas of pain, you got a little prick in his paw over the weekend, something like that. I can add text to it by hitting the T icon and then tapping into it. Then I can drag this text box anywhere I want and then tap into it again. Then iPad, it accesses the keyboard, and I can say maybe areas of pain. Okay, there we go. I need to be in so it's areas of pain. And you can see I can drag this text anywhere I want, and it'll just be there. And when I'm done, let's see. Okay. So actually, I need to update my iOS, so it's kind of got me locked in here. Something that I should have done over the weekend, but case in point, just to let you know, you may have issues with the iPad's app if you don't upgrade to the latest version of iOS and the latest version of our app. But essentially, that's what you're going to be doing. You just hit the camera icon on the iPad, and then you'd be able to utilize any sort of pictures that you have. All righty. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay. So let me close out of here. So that's our diagram. You can choose to upload a picture like a human body diagram or something like that, or you can choose to take a clinical photo. Now, our fraction field is really, I think, pretty self-explanatory. I can drag one on here. So basically, it's really just anything that needs to be denoted by a numerator and denominator. So it can be like, blood pressure, BMI, something like that. And then you just hit the value button, and whatever you would put in would actually get kind of, so I'll show you, like in my custom template here. And notice it opens up to this template that I want to use by default. So my level of pain, I've got 4 out of 10 for my fraction field. And then you can see this is level of pain, and this is the sort of the presentation of the fraction at the end there. Okay. So let's go ahead, undo the changes. And then lastly, we have our header, subheader, and blank field. And I've already got these kind of prompted up in my own template builder, so I'll show you what they look like. So these are really only for formatting, especially the blank field. These spaces between the questions, you know, they're not going to appear on the clinical note. The spacing is really more dictated on the clinical note by whether you hit new line or not, you know, something like that. So if you hit, that's what's going to actually translate to the clinical note. These formatting options are really just so you can, how you like to present the iPad or the, the template while you're charting. So notice my header is, you know, large font, bolded. My subheaders are just larger font, but not bolded. And our blank fields are literally just these spaces if you want to, you know, to kind of segment different portions of your template.
So what's the difference in the blank field and the insert line or new line or whatever?
So the insert or new line and new paragraph, this is going to change the spacing of your clinical note. And the blank field only changes the spacing on your presentation of the template. So maybe, you know, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So those are all the types of template questions or the form tools that we have. Do you have any questions on those?
No, I think we're good. Thanks.
Okay. Now, notice we have the different types of sections here. Okay. So we have new section and SOAP section. If I use the new section, which I really recommend doing because it's very straightforward, it's exactly how we see it. One generated text box. However, if I select SOAP section, now mind you, this changes the formatting of every single question. It's not like a couple can be new section and one can be SOAP section. You either have the entire template this way or the other. Now, if I use the SOAP section, when I click on my, how did I get this injury or whatever, notice now there's each question has its own subjective, objective, assessment, and plan section. So I don't think it's terribly utilized a great deal. I know the ones, or my clients who do use that a lot are orthopedic surgeons. Generally, I guess they're dealing with a lot of different ailments. And
yeah, we think that's too much too.
Yeah, and then it's just cumbersome to look at too, right? I like the new section. And honestly, I think if you need a SOAP section for each one, you should drag them on. But then again, I'm not a clinician, so, you know, it may make sense to some people. So, you know, it makes sense enough to where we built it out. So there are enough people using it where they, you know, that it's deemed necessary. But I just wouldn't see it. I don't recommend it just because it can be a bit overwhelming when you're looking at it, when you're charting and everything. Okay, now the only other things I'd like to cover today are under our options menu. So when I click on the options, let me zoom in here for you. If I hit archive template, it's the same as hitting this red X. It just deletes it, or quote unquote deletes it. You know, we can't do that for HIPAA compliance, but it'll put it in your list of archive templates. If I hit clear template, you know, it just erases all of these questions, you know, clears it out like you want to just hit the red X on all of these questions simultaneously. Okay. Duplicate template, you know, it just like kind of, it's like hitting this sort of like using our form tool or our field clipboard. You just can duplicate another template. And so it kind of copies this over into a new one that you may want to make changes to. You might have two different templates that are really similar, but just need some slight tweaks. So you can just duplicate the template. Renaming the template, you know, just hitting is like hitting this pencil icon up here if you just want to rename something. Now, I'm going to go to a different template to highlight other things here, like our presets. And let's say our medical, family, and social history. So, you know, when you're charting a note, if you recall, you know, the first questions or first template opens up is the history of present illness. And that's just done by default, you know, it's just the first template we have. So it's the one we open up to. But let's say under your additional section, I want my, you know, regular office visit to be the one that it opens up to, because I don't want to have to click into the different templates and then, you know, find this one. I just want it to open up to that. You can set that as your default template by going to the options. If I scroll to the bottom here, I click on options and just click set as default template. So, the system will open up to it as soon as, I start charting a note. And if you do select that, like I have here, it'll be denoted by this green D.
Okay, sorry, Saw. Can you do that again?
Yeah, of course.
Got lost.
Oh, no, not a problem. So let's say this test template or my sample template is the one I'd like the system to just automatically open up to, instead of my history, present, illness, because that's our stock template. Just click on set as default. And if you'd like it to open up to this template first, it'll do that. All right.
Got it. Thanks.
Of course. And that's denoted by this green D. Now, what is this gray P? That appears when I've chosen to make this template persistent. So when you make a template persistent, it's like, one second, I'll show you. It's like going to the copy previous note and always selecting that template every single time. So when you make a template persistent, the information from the previous data service will carry over every single time. So, if Dr. Bridges or Dr. Bingham are copying from a previous note with any sort of real frequency, definitely recommend that they do that, just because it makes it much more seamless as opposed to manually typing it in or clicking in, having to do that every single time. You can make something persistent. Okay. And notice I've also made my history, present, illness template persistent as well. So you can make any number of templates persistent, but you can only obviously have one default template.
Okay, so Dr. Bingham just got here. Wait a second.
When you say persistent, what does that mean to me again?
Okay, so Dr. Bingham, let's say you're charting this note, like for this patient, Daniel Kivatinos, right? And you come here to the top right-hand corner and you're like, I want to copy the history of present illness from my last template. And I'm like, okay, I'll copy my HPI. And so basically when you make a template persistent, it does this automatically. So you don't have to click into this menu or whatever. It automatically copies over.
Does that make sense?
What if I automatically copy over, but I want to make some subtle changes?
It copies the text over, and then you can make those changes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
So it automates this process of clicking here, clicking on the last appointment, and whatever.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So there's that option. It's a heavily used one. And then lastly, we have our set as workflow template. Now, notice when I highlight this, I get a menu of all of our stock templates, H&P, our SOAP, and those on-patient templates. So setting as a workflow as an option basically swaps the questions. It doesn't change the titles, unfortunately. The titles remain the same, but if I want my history, present, illness, and my sample template questions to switch, I just go to set, I'm highlighted in so I go to my additional, my sample template, and I want all these questions to be my history, present, illness template. I just go there, click this, and then click on history, present, illness, and then it literally, I'll do it so you guys can see. Now, if I go to my HPI template, notice it's my sports and athletic injury questionnaire that I was just looking at. And so what I would do, I'm actually going to switch it back. Just like that. And now I've switched it back by using the set as workflow, as you can see.
Okay, so I'm sorry. That seemed confusing.
You know what? It's not used a great deal. So think about it this way. The title is going to stay the same. The content trades. It swaps.
Right, but if we can go in and edit these templates anyway on our own, then why would we swap the content?
A lot of people don't usually do it. Sometimes, instead of what they do, the reason we built it in is sometimes they use these templates by default as they're incrementally building something they actually want to use later on, and then they just kind of make the swap.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. And then I heard a question about printing.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
I print off my history and physical of what we usually use here in the office. Can you walk us through that and show us like build it on there for us to show us specifically how to do our history and physical?
I'm sorry. So do you want to print the questionnaire, like a blank version of it?
Right. No, yeah. So they have like a form that they use here. And so now they're going to be using the system. So they want to be able to build a template based on that form.
Okay.
So when we're doing the building the template in the second hour of this training session, can we do it based on that?
Yeah, of course.
Is it helpful for you to have a version of that?
Actually, yeah, that would be awesome. If you guys could scan it real quick and then email it to me, I could access it. If not, I can just walk you guys through it.
No, we can do that.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, I can help you guys to do that. Yeah, just I'll keep an eye out for my inbox and
Copy it and then mark the patient's name out. Because of HIPAA.
It doesn't matter what procedure we're having now.
All right.
all right. So that's everything with the templates. So we have another half hour. So I figured I'll just help you guys to build those templates right now, or at least get a head start.
I don't know what these mean. Okay, hey Saad, while we
Yes.
wait on her to email you that template real quick, can we ask you a couple of questions that we've been struggling with here?
Absolutely.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
I don't know what that demo short form, what does that mean?
Well, we ain't got the answer to that. You can't shorten it.
okay.
Remember,
All right, yeah.
clinical note from patient without going through the
We got that.
calendar.
We got that.
Football documents from Roane medical path to the nurse.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna ask that. Is that how we know when it
Yeah,
comes
so
through?
So we're trying to figure out how we know when something has been, like a path report has come back in, or labs or something like that, how we would know that that has been
They're
delivered,
waiting.
so that we can.
Labs are tied to our message center, so you would get a notification that you have an unread message, but there'll be a number. Excuse me. If you have an unread lab or whatever, there'll be a number, a little red icon with the number here that shows you have unread messages. Let me go.
And that comes from what about path reports from the hospital?
If they're depending on how they're sending them to you, I imagine they're faxing them to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. The message center, it's tied here as well.
So we just have to get our fax number ported over, and then all that stuff will show up right there.
Absolutely.
We need to do that.
PCP referrals and stuff as well.
Yeah, but if I can just go in there and print those off.
Where you go to?
Thank you.
To the
Okay.
fax.
Hold on just a second, son.
Yeah, of course.
However,
No, it should be all handled on our deputy side. If anything pops up, obviously you already know it should contact me, and then we'll try and get it fixed. But I think this is us fixing the problem that we had. We should be fine. Exactly.
Start over.
I'm sorry, are you there?
Hello.
Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Bingham again. While the girls are thinking, I want to ask you a question.
Of course.
I try to do a fairly complete history and physical, and my assessment doesn't just say hernia. It says hernia and heart disease and COPD and diabetes and history, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm going through my H&P, is there some way to star or click or highlight a part of that H&P that I would like to show on the assessment line to keep me from having to go back and forth and look and bring it down and drag it down or retype it?
Unfortunately, no. When we're charting, there's no way to outside of a manual copy and paste, there's no way to do that. We don't have a feature built out to accommodate that, unfortunately. I think that's actually a good idea, though. We should.
Yeah, you should.
If you guys could talk about that the next time you're programming, it'd really be handy if I'm doing a H&P and I've got a patient with 10 problems, if I could just have those 10 automatically show up on the assessment/problem list rather than me have to type them or drag them.
Yeah. I think that's a really good idea, Dr. Bingham. I'm happy to talk to our developers about that, run it by them, and see what they think, and we'll see if that's something that could potentially be built out.
Yeah, if the patient's had the wisdom teeth out when they're 13, that's not important to me.
Yeah.
If they have a bone resected when they're 13, that's important to me.
Oh, of course.
Okay, thank you, girls.
What else you got, Kim?
Well, I mean,
Where's the faxes gonna show up on it?
yeah, where the fax is at. How do I get to the faxes once it's set up?
Oh, anytime you're in the system, regardless of where, you can access your faxes by looking in the top right-hand corner and clicking on the envelope icon. That is our message center.
Oh, okay.
And it holds faxes, lab orders, anything like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did you ask about the Dr. Bingham's charges got shown up as Dr. Mash, Dr. Bridges? And some of Thursday's day sheets came out as Dr. Yeah, they came out as Dr. Bridges. And
We had a patient that we did office surgery on Thursday. We thought we were putting it in Dr. Bingham's, but it was
Billed out for Dr. Bridges.
Hmm?
Let's take a look. Do you know the patient name?
Wilda White.
All right, let's see. Thursday the 4th.
Template was named Dr. Bridges short form or something like that.
Probably.
There she
Was
is.
it 4 o'clock
Oh, 4 o'clock.
The red one.
on
Oh, there she
Thursday the
is.
4th?
Okay, so it's under Dr. Bingham, and let's take a look at the note. Okay, yeah, see, that's why the op note, basically, it's not that it was billed out or anything to Dr. Bridges, it's that the template used is named Dr. Bridges op note. And that's why this appears there.
Because the template is made out in his name, is that right?
Yeah. So the thing is, the system is now set up that Dr. Bridges and Dr. Bingham can share their templates. Like, so if Dr. Bridges makes something, Dr. Bingham can use it if he thinks that, it's a good template and he thinks that, it would help out a lot. So right now, that's why he has access to Dr. Bridges' OP note or his op note. And simply this one is just filled out. This part of that section is just filled out in the op note. And so hence that's why it has that name.
So on this particular patient, did it go far enough? Is it in the coding office at this point? And if so, whose name's it under?
Okay. Well, see, the thing is, sir, it's going to be coded. Everything is going to be, because you are the primary provider for this account, it's going to be submitted. Everything is going to be done as if, under your name.
This is important.
And right now it's in ready to code. So our team is probably working on coding it right now because, there's a 48-hour turnaround.
Okay. I think of questions as we go here. Dr. Bridges has been working on these templates at home a little bit. What we will eventually do, providing he and I agree, and I think we will, we'll change those templates from Dr. Bridges' form to Roane Surgeon's form.
Yeah.
Is that hard to do?
Oh, no, not at all. Super easy.
Okay.
In fact, all you need to do is come here to the builder, highlight, I'll zoom in here. So highlight, here's that op note that was Dr. Bridges' op note. Click on it right here. And then I just click on this pencil icon. I can rename it.
Okay.
Yeah, super easy. Whenever you guys are ready.
I'll clear that with him before I actually do it.
So we emailed you that history.
Bringing it up right now.
Do you want to email your flow sheet?
Okay. So let's get started on it. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, while you think about that, did you ever get an answer on that insurance that's missing pieces?
No, still haven't heard back. Let me follow up. Okay, so let's see.
Some lunch. Nobody's barbecue.
All right. So I see, let's see, a lot of, multiple choice questions here.
Yep.
Okay. It's not terribly difficult to build any of this. it's just going to be a little tedious. That's all. It's going to take a little time to do this properly. So I say we spend the next, 25 minutes that we have here and really getting a head start on it. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to hit this plus button to start a new template. And so we can call this Roane Surgeons H&P. All right, we've got to start.
Good.
All right, so let's see. So it asks for the primary care physician. So that's probably a field that we want to have in here, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, no?
Yes. We said yes.
Oh, sorry, I heard both. Okay, so here, what we're gonna do, let's call this, we'll do PCP, like that, actually just like that. I copy it, I'll put it in here. And do you guys, actually, before I go any further, is this filled out like kind of like a short answer with your keyboard, or do you want to make this a multiple choice? Or is there like a set list of people who tend to be?
No, they need to be able to put it in.
Okay, just like that.
Because there's like a ton of PCPs right there.
Yeah, just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we got that part. Then, okay, so then it asks for the chief complaint. But again, in our system, we do already have a chief complaint here. So I don't think we need to include that. All right. Then we have HPI. All right. And I imagine that, again, is another short answer, sort of fill in with the keyboard.
Is that correct?
I'm not sure what that means. So
so like when we were filling out their history present illness, like I'm looking at the form that Wendy sent over, it said, and it says, Miss Hart is referred to our office today by Amanda Ferguson for heartburn and reflux, NNV of bile, and some RUQ tenderness. So that was the HPI that we have for this patient. Is that something that you just kind of type out, Dr. Bingham?
we have in the past, yes. I can't think of a good way. I can't think of a good way to template that. It varies so much.
So would it be,
exactly.
so I think just like a soap note type box.
You might put in there durations of symptoms and have a place to check off so many days or so many weeks. But other than that, I can't think of much way to short form that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just going to have to like free type that one.
Yep.
What is going on here? There we go.
I agree.
All right, and we'll say HPI.
If you'll send it to him, I don't know if he can hear me or not.
You just have to do your email. I can understand it. You can sit right here and help.
Value. All right, so I'm going to separate these by just a single space, if that's okay. That's the way it kind of looks here. And then we may want to make this a 2-column field. So now it kind of covers over it. I'm based on what I'm looking at here. Okay, then we come to the medical history. Now, when it says her medical history is she has heartburn, reflux, chronic back pain, thyroid disease, weight loss. This sounds like it would be a multiple choice question, correct? Like a list from you that you'd like to choose from?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep a blank field in there. Actually, no, I'm going to make this a multiple select. Why is it doing that? Okay.
I got you.
Okay. No. I don't know what is going on here. Okay, we'll put in a blank field. It's not exactly what I wanted. Okay, this is... All right, I'm starting from scratch. There's something going on with the formatting there. Give me just a second.
Under PCP, we will probably, if you'll show us how, you don't have to waste your time doing it. We'll probably put in a list of our top 10 referrals to save us.
Actually, right now, that's actually not. Why is this? It's not possible. Like, if you want to put in your list of top 10, why is this?
No, he's saying, Assad, he's saying that PCP will probably end up being a drop down.
Oh, yeah, and you guys can change that later on.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be using multiple or single select later on. But for right now, we'll leave it as. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Totally with you now. Okay, and then we have HPI.
First, you have chief complaint.
No, they won't do that because it'll automatically be there on their chart.
Okay.
The chief complaint shows up.
Yeah,
On,
we have a section right here for your chief complaint anyway, so no need to have it. Okay. All right, now we're going to do a multiple select. There we go. Your blank field in there? No. Okay. And it looks like in this medical history, there's like a double space between that and the HPI. So I'm going to hit the new paragraph.
okay.
Call this one medical history. We have it here.
It probably is. Yeah.
Like that. I'm going to put in my value. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to type out what I see under. I'm going to type out what I see here under this patient's chronic.
Okay.
And then you guys can come in.
And these will be the items that the doctors or nurses can choose from.
Exactly.
And that because it's a multiple select, they can select as many as they want.
Exactly.
And you can always go in and add.
Because there's a lot more than.
Exactly. Yeah. So I figure there's going to be a lot more than what I'm including here. You guys can come in to the template builder and then just, add them as necessary. Just remember when you do add them, make sure to have that space for the
space in front of the word. So the comma space. Got it.
What is the space for?
Because when you select those, it's going to automatically add a comma. But if you don't put a space in front of the word, then the comma and the word will be squished together. No proper grammar. That's stuff you care about.
It's going to be on a line rather than be on.
Yes, they'll be in a line down there, right here.
Yes, sentence.
That's why you put that value there, because it's going to add whatever you select here is going to be there.
Okay, I'm going to save this just to kind of save as we go. And then we have a field for surgical history.
Yeah, I praised you earlier and said you were doing a really good job with your templates. Dr. Bridges just walked in.
Hey, Dr. Bridges. And yes, I was praising. I think you did a good job of going in and properly utilizing certain template tools. So if you want to view the video that we're recording today, you may get some helpful hints as to how to format things as you'd like in the future.
One question. There's a situation where it's not really yes or no. It's if it's no, it's none, and if it's yes, you actually would enter the value. Does that make sense?
So that would be your switch, right?
Yes or no question.
I'm sorry, the audio cut out a little bit.
Okay,
Dr. Bridges.
So it would be a yes or no, where in the no it would be like none, and in the yes you'd actually have to enter a value.
Okay, so in that case, it would be a switch, exactly. So basically a switch populates information to the clinical note if you turn it on, but if you leave it off, nothing shows up.
Okay, it doesn't say none, it just leaves it blank.
Yeah, it would just it's no information. If you'd like it to say none, I would use the yes, no question. And then, when you are filling out the negative box, just say none. If you need it to be on the clinical note.
But you'd have to actually, would you actually have to type in none, or would it automatically?
No. If you kind of do that in the template builder, and then you just select no when you're charting, and then none will show up.
Okay, yeah. Gotcha.
Okay, so let's take a look here. So multiple select.
So this seems pretty easy. I feel like we could do that.
Template Builder's acting a little odd on me. So we may have to come in here and make some changes like with our blank fields. Notice I'm having some issues.
Now, why is it giving you such a hard time putting in spaces?
That's a very good question. I'm going to ask our developers when I'm done here because it's like I'm pulling out my hair. It usually is not like this. I can get it like in my 2 years here, I haven't seen this happen, and it's incredibly frustrating given that I'm sharing my screen with you right now. And yeah, I just want this to show up underneath. There we go. And I want it to not have a space, but I'm not gonna mess with this.
Pull new field up one.
Yeah, watch when I do that, it does. Pull it up too.
Yeah, I see it.
See, this was happening to you the other day.
No. What was happening to me was I couldn't drag anything from here over.
Oh,
It just wouldn't grab it and bring it over.
Dr. Bridges, were you doing that on Friday morning or Thursday night?
Wow, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, see, I can't now.
Okay, but we feel like that now that you've showed us that first, the medical history with the value thing.
Yeah, you know what to do with the surgical history. Yeah.
What would we do on the next? So the current medications, that would just be a soap note, right?
Yeah, you could do that. Again, that's already part of our intake. Like if I go here to my clinical tab and click on patient templates, this is a way for you to see what the patients are filling out when they're checking in. All right, I'll zoom in for you here. And notice like we have a section for medications, allergies, and medical conditions. So you wouldn't necessarily have to put it into your template. You can if that's you can choose to hide this from the intake and just put it in as part of your charting, but just some options for you. So if you'd like to omit that, you can because it's already kind of built into our system.
So this would be the on-patient is the form that we would email them to tell them to go on and fill it out.
Correct. Or hand them the iPad when they're in the office. Either way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the problem we just realized is that we've got like 3 or 4 patients coming in at once. So we would have to have 3 or 4 iPads, and that's ridiculous. We can't do that.
Well, I mean, that's way too many. I mean,
they would either have to fill it out at home,
mm-hmm.
or
if the intake process doesn't take too long, you know. I know a lot of offices only have the one iPad up front, and they're like, hey, when you're done with that, please hand it to me and I'll hand it to Mr. Smith and whatever. So it's possible, but I think from the sounds of it, it's best that you guys utilize the on-patient portal, and you have them fill it out online before they're even in your office.
Yeah, the on-patient is sending the forms to them. But we would need to collect an email address.
So there's only 2 on-patient forms, am I right?
Right.
That is correct. Only 2 on-patient forms that we can customize, but we can make them as lengthy as needed.
Okay, so if we got them to do the on-patient, then we wouldn't need to have this current medication on there.
That's correct. Yeah, that would automatically be part of the intake.
They're filling out their form at home or in the lobby or wherever, and they got current medications. They're going to spell Lasix, L-A-Z-I-T.
Oh, yeah.
It ain't going to work.
Yeah. So there is a one level of oversight that you have there. When you're putting in, or let's say I'm charting right now, right? And I'm Dr. Bingham or I'm Dr. Bridges, and I look at what they've put into their on-patient, and I go into medications, allergies, and conditions. This is kind of like a read-only thing, so you can add it to the note, but, you can, when you go to their patient chart, you can make changes. You can actually there is some oversight there, because this stuff, when they put in their medications and their allergies and medical conditions, it doesn't...
Right, but the medication, the current medications has to be on the history and physical. It can't be just...
Okay, so if that's a necessity for you, then yeah, we're going to have to build it as part of the template.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Okay, so that would just need to be a soap note so that they could freehand those.
Yeah, so I would use the short text field and just type them out.
You do want them to be click, click, click.
Which one?
So how would we know which medications to list?
Yeah, that if you use it as a drop down, that is going to be one long list.
Drop down, yeah. That would be.
You would have to, I mean, you could maybe do, no.
We almost spent an hour talking
Well,
about.
if we're on our own template, like what you're doing now, you're building us the history and physical template.
Mm-hmm.
Under your all system, there's a place for medications and allergies. Is there any way to transfer that over?
So yeah, when we go to our Medicaid, and I've saved already. So when we go to our medications and allergies, the thing is, it doesn't have any functional like template fields that we can copy over, because like when we're charting it, where's my employee account? Or when you're charting a note, that's kind of coded out differently. So no, unfortunately, we can't just copy that over. That's a good idea. And I like where your head's at, because that's what the field clipboard's designed to do. It just is that specific template we can't utilize.
This is a more general question. This is Dr. Bridges. If I decide I want to alter my op note template, and it's gonna affect. There's a, you know how it says there's a bunch of charts. It's going to affect. You want to archive it. Is there? What do I need to do to make that happen? I mean, what do you?
If you want to make those changes, you can sign and lock those notes.
Okay.
You can delete the notes, just clear everything out so that that the template, it's no longer contingent on that template, or you can delete the appointment in its entirety.
Well, I don't necessarily want to go back and alter what I've done, but if I decide that I wanted to add something extra ongoing.
As long as the note is signed and locked, it's not going to edit.
Exactly.
Not going to edit the past note. If he uses post-op simple note now and adds to it.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right.
It's not going to edit the old places where he's used that note as long as it's signed and locked.
Exactly, 100%.
Okay.
Got it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so the medications that I'm looking at your H&P template, that is, I recommend using our short text field, so you can just free type that. I know it'd be nice if they were in a drop down, but I imagine the number of medications that you'd have to put in there is just really, really, really long. So I'd really advise against it, unless for some reason the medications that you're concerned with are just a list of are just a handful. Then it might be something you can do. But again, I think it'd just be easier to free text that.
I mean, that's
And sometimes it's longer than that.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. I'm looking at this one, and so I'm looking at what looks to be 20 or so, and you said sometimes it's longer.
Yes, sometimes.
Yeah, so I would for current medications, I would use a short text field, and so I'd do this.
But we could use in the short text field. We can use some of those those macros or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
You can't use them in the template builder, but if you've built macros. When you're filling this out, when you're charting, absolutely, you can use a macro.
Yeah. So then you wouldn't have to type it in every single time.
No, that's a great idea.
But Rena would have the dosage.
Someone's been paying attention and watching.
No, so you could create macros for these drugs.
For lisinopril, 20
Right.
milligrams
So then
once a
you
day.
could just type in LIS and it would give you the option.
Actually, no. Instead of typing LIS, what you do is you just click on the macro button and it pastes it in. So it's not like an autocomplete. It's like a button you have to click. But yeah, it's
right, but
just
that would kind of, if that's the way it works, that wouldn't really be helpful either, because they wouldn't be able to have 75 million macros. They'd have to search through
the list. Yeah.
Right?
So if you alphabetize them, it's not as difficult. But yeah, assuming we've got a long list of medications, yeah, even a macro may actually be, may not actually kind of encompass what you guys are trying to do with it. So for the time being, I'm going to leave this field in, just current medications, value, and we're free typing it until we find something better to do.
Okay.
All right, and then let's see if these blank fields are still fighting me on this. Yep, of course they are. And it jumps up there. That's why I can just undo my changes. I'd like it to be formatted a bit better. And so as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to ask our developers as to what's happening with the template builder. So hopefully you guys aren't experiencing the same issues. I'm hoping it's just localized to this IP.
Ask him that.
We'll see. Okay. So
hold on. We got to go back to that for a second.
Medications.
I never mess with it.
I guess I just don't understand because on your all system, under HMP or SOAP, under the medications and allergies, you all have that list in there. Like we can just type a few letters in and it pulls up a whole list of those medications or allergies.
Yep.
So why can we do it under that, but not under this?
Oh, because that template, that wasn't built with our template tools, so it can't be transferred over. That it has a whole other different way that it was coded.
Right, but when they're charting.
Oh yeah, of course. When they're charting, they can just use that template.
So if they've already created this and they go into the free box, free noting in the medications, if they type in, whatever, it's going to autofill Tylenol.
Yeah, if they just use that template, absolutely, it would autocomplete and just based on
This one. Like you would go in and put it in, like freehand on the other screen. Put everything in, and it saves it. Can you copy and paste it and then put it under like Roane Surgeon's HMP?
I guess you could.
What he's saying is like when the doctors click on this Roane Surgeon's HMP, when you're using it in real life, you would go to medications, and as you start entering in the medications, it's going to autofill like it does everywhere.
Yeah, so if I go to my medications and allergies here, like I'm charting a note.
Yes.
Yeah, you can then put them all in. And then, you could then highlight everything and, copy it and then paste it
to our history and physical.
Yeah, if you'd like. I'm just not sure how that would be formatted.
Why would you need to do that, though? That's what I'm saying. Why would you need to copy it to the history and physical if it gives you the option to autofill it here? You want to be able to click on each medication instead of typing in the first two words of the medication?
If you did that, you'd have to review every one of them and then go back through and pick, wouldn't you?
But what he's saying is in there, we're just going to have to freehand, under our template, we have to freehand type everything in.
Right, but he's
There's
saying
not going to be a drop down giving you a choice under LIS.
Well, but it will. When you type in LIS, it's going to give you the drop down, right? In that free text box.
Oh no, in this template, in our medications and allergies, I can hit the plus and then it auto populates here if I type in LIS. Then you can start searching based on that. But if I was to go to my additional and go to my Roane Surgeon's H&P and go to my medical current medications, I wouldn't be able to like autocomplete. This is just like a free type.
So you can only do, the only way they can get their medications into the note is if they use your medications template.
That's the most seamless way to do it. I mean, we do have, like, I did build this section here, but this would require them to free type me like, okay, it is lisinopril, or I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
That's horrible.
Yeah, you'd have to type it out like that. So again, a little workaround that was suggested is when it is input here, to copy this, and then if it must be in this H&P as well, and then paste it. But then, it's going to be...
Ugly, and the milligrams might be not be correct. And that's horrible.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's limitations of our system, as with any other EHR, unfortunately.
Well, we're not upset with you. We just wish that it was easier.
Yeah, so do I.
Fix it.
Oh yeah. So with I think that is a good idea of having the autocomplete. It's just actually coding that out is I imagine is pretty difficult. So I'm not sure if that's something that they'd want to introduce into the template.
It seems like if it's available in one area, it should be available in the other area. They've already coded for it.
See, they've coded it they seem very similar in the front end, but back end, you're talking about potentially two different languages.
Okay, let me ask you this. If they are in go back to that page, the page where it shows like medications, allergies.
Okay, 1 second.
Yeah, so that H&P section. So if they fill out the medications and allergies here, that's going to show up in the clinical note.
Yeah, of course. When I hit view clinical note,
So what he's saying is
all of
just,
it's right
it'll
there.
be there. So what he's saying is don't put it in your own intake form. Use their medications because it's going to show up inside the clinical note. Everything that's on your list over there, plan, assessment, all that stuff, if it's filled out there, it's going to show up on the clinical note.
It'll
Correct.
connect with the one we built today. It will connect with that,
Oh yeah, they're all part of the same note.
so it all combines.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if they fill out whatever they want on your regular stuff, and then they go on to their own medical records, one that they filled out, and save and complete there too, everything that they've saved and completed inside that is going to be on the clinical note.
Yes.
Okay,
Perfect.
there we go.
It'll just be under different sections. So one will say Roane's or Roan's
Got it.
surgeons, HP, and you'll fill out that or have that info. And then the medications and allergies, all that stuff will be up here.
Okay, that makes sense. What'd you say?
Does it matter that the medications are on the bottom of the history and
They're on
physical?
the very end of the history and physical. Don't matter.
No, I don't think it matters.
It shouldn't for your claim submission. But while we're on the subject, if I go under the clinical tab and I go to complete note format, you can just decide in what order. Let me zoom in here for you. In what order do you want? So like,
You can use
The
these
order
three.
when it says
Yeah,
reactions
beautiful.
is-
Okay.
yeah. So then you can just change the order. So my medications and allergies right
Says
now are
forward.
above Roane surgeons, and so I can just click and drag it wherever I want.
Yeah, okay. That's helpful.
Mm-hmm. All right. So do you guys have any other questions? I think for the most part, you guys have a good understanding of how to build this out. It's just a question of like, getting your hands dirty and actually kind of like do,
Yeah.
of course, because, this is something I can submit to our team to build out for you. But like I said, the turnaround time may not be, you said 2 to 3 weeks waiting wouldn't be
Yeah.
wouldn't work for you guys.
That's not ideal.
Yeah.
Right.
Does Kim have time to go to?
No, we're out of time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so before we go, did you get a chance to figure out how we can look at any patient that's missing insurance information?
Still waiting to hear back on that,
Oh,
unfortunately.
you're still waiting to hear back?
Yeah, because we can filter for a lot of stuff, but which ones don't, I'm still working on it. I'll hopefully get back to you later today.
All right, that's really important because we
I
can't
understand.
get ready to code unless we know that all it's not feasible for them to go in and click on every single patient.
Yeah, no, that's just too much of a
Every
time
single
suck there. So yeah, let me follow up with my product specialist and see what I can get for you.
Remember how you had to go into the view record?
Yeah, so that's another thing real quick. So
Mhm.
if they go in, say they see 40 patients tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
and they do all of their notes as they go.
Mm-hmm.
So when they get done at the end of the day, they've got 40 patients and all of them have been noted and they're ready to code. Is there a way for them to select all those appointments and ready to code them all at once? Or do they have to go into every single patient?
No, unfortunately, it's a manual process.
Manual.
Yeah,
Okay.
each one individually.
You not only get, well, do you have to go into the point where you view their note, or can you just?
Oh no. There are a lot of different places you can.
All right.
do it.
Aha!
Show us the quickest way to make it ready to code.
I like going to the calendar, clicking on the appointment, going to billing, and then just selecting ready to code.
Oh, it's
Shut
in that
up.
top.
Shut up.
Make it
Yep.
bigger.
Oh my God.
Front door.
Under the appointment.
Yep, so do that again. Go
There
out
we go.
for a second, Son.
Okay.
Start at the very beginning. We're in
Okay.
the
So
calendar.
we're in the calendar, right? And we're looking at Teresa here. I click on Teresa, right? And then I have all my tabs at the top. I click on billing, and then I just select ready to code.
Okay.
Oh, it's under there. Okay.
Beautiful. Okay.
Drop down.
And it'll tell you in
That
the
was
screen
the thing
too.
to me.
There's
And
Yeah,
then, of course,
go back
obviously save.
Appointment. Go back to the appointment real quick.
Uh-huh. Let me set it as blank for you.
Yeah. So it says primary insurance. What does that mean? What does that little yellow box mean?
Oh, it just right now the flag you've alerted or selected to have their insurance information displayed. So these little yellow, think of it as just like a sticky note. You want the system to tell you what their primary insurance is. So it's displaying it. It doesn't mean that you need to do anything, or it's just telling you her
Right,
primary
so-
insurance is Amerigroup.
So when it comes up green and it says you have enough demographics to code or send this to billing or whatever, this has nothing to do with that. This doesn't mean we need to change.
No, not at all. This is just what you've done here is.
Can we make it go away?
Or can we make it say it's ready to code?
Yeah, always tell you that it's always ready to code.
Because what we're really trying to find out is this chart ready to code, and how do I, and just push the button to code it. I don't really care
So
what
the thing is, there's no way of generating a flag to say, yeah, this is good to go for ready to code status, because that is so subjective based on specialty. There's no way we can do that. But to answer another question earlier on is here, if you'd like to just take away, the insurance information, if you don't want to see that, just click on it right there.
But it's still going to show their insurance. It's just not going to
pop it.
But is it going to, but will it flag you if the insurance isn't correct now?
Yeah, if you have incorrect information, it will tell you that, but it just won't. It won't be.
It's not going to flag you just to say, hey, their insurance is this.
Exactly. It'll tell you if there's an error, but not that now. So we just have to take it away.
So if there's nothing up there, it's okay.
So if there's nothing up there, no flags at all, then it means that, and the clinical note's been signed and locked, it means we can select ready to code.
That's correct.
There you go.
What did he do to the schedule? The calendar.
What did he do to it?
Well, it says Dr. Bridges on one side and Dr.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the doctor view.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I was telling you when you were calling earlier.
You have different views here.
Okay. Well, because I don't normally get his, and so when I was trying to add, it says what you're adding is conflicting.
So I go to the left.
Oh yeah, Dr. Bridges, you may have to select
both of these clicked on.
Okay.
So if I just want to look at your appointments, I can just click none and then just Dr. Bridges, and it just shows me yours.
But I have to do that.
Oh yeah, that was another thing we wanted to ask. Can you make that allow overlapping permanent? So they don't have to click it every single time?
Yeah, if I go to account settings.
Well, it's not going to alert you if you quadruple book.
And then, so you've allowed for overlapping appointments in exam rooms. So you should be able to do it without clicking on allow overlapping.
It doesn't let us do it. When we try to book an appointment, it will say, you can't do this, conflicts with appointment.
Yeah, like if Dr. Bingham's in the office and I'm doing surgery and I try and enter one, it says you cannot enter that. There's already an existing appointment, except it doesn't show up on my list. So then I have to go back in and find the doctor.
That might be something I have to report to our developers. So I'll toy around within the system and come up with some examples and take some screenshots and whatever, and I'll report that as soon as I can.
I mean, we can work around it. It's just a pain in the.
Okay, it says allow appointments to overlap within an exam room. Maybe it's.
Yeah, no, it should allow.
I don't understand why it wouldn't.
All the time.
All the time. If you have it set to that, then it should let you book it no matter what. But see, when you go to add an appointment, go in there right now, Sod, and try to add in an appointment. Show both doctors there. And try to add an appointment that's already double booked.
Like right at 11.
Like right at 11 o'clock there.
Wherever you're at there,
yeah.
You have to actually put
You have to actually click this allow overlapping, or it won't let you do, or it won't do it. Just type in my name, Wendy Thacker.
Well, unclick the button though.
Yeah. Any of those works. Yeah, so unclick the overlapping, unclick that, so it'll give you the message. I did it. Of course it did it.
Things on the top.
Did he
click
off of it?
There was, no, I think that was saying that it was a recall colonoscopy.
How was it able to do that?
I don't know. I swear.
Wait. Click on exactly on 11:30, not on the.
1 second. Let's see if I try to. See, yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So it changes.
And if we click on allow overlapping, then it'll let it do it. Watch it. See?
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah.
Good
Let
luck
me.
with that.
Not sure. I'm gonna have to have our devs look at that. Okay. It could be a setting with the doctor setting. So yeah, let me follow up with them. Hold on. Let me get
Yeah,
my.
but it doesn't seem to do that anyway, because when
My
you tried
to-do
to add an
list
appointment at the
here.
same time as Dad's is when it wouldn't let you do
Well,
it.
only in the same exam room. If you do it in a different exam
Oh,
room,
if you
it'll let
select
do
a
it.
different exam room.
Yeah, the problem is
Yeah.
on an office day, he's going to have all 4 exam rooms.
Okay, so
filled,
what
so
if
when I go to
we
try and put a
saw-
OR case on,
Yeah.
What if we created a second office for the hospital? Would that fix the problem?
I think it would. That way, yeah, you're not dealing
So
about.
then they would have 4 columns here. They would have 2 office and 2 hospital.
Correct.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then you wouldn't have that issue at all.
You're both in surgery on the same day.
So
That'd be okay.
yeah, so can we add, can we, so then if they're both in surgery on the same day, will they still be able to book overlapping appointments?
Yeah, they should be able to, because then we're dealing with only we segment the exam rooms accordingly. So yeah, I think that's a good idea to create more
Okay.
offices for their hospital visits as well.
Okay.
All right, we'll do that.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, guys. And Wendy, I'm going to follow up on that whole reporting on no insurance for
All right,
you.
send us this video right away, okay?
Okay. Yeah. As soon as it compresses, I will send it over.
Thanks, Odd.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.